welcome to Money Matters TV. My name is Paul Mitchell. I'm a commercial banker, and I'm your host for this show. Joining me is my co-host, Michael Donahue, CPA,
nice to meet
partner
you,
with Drucker Scaccetti.
That's right.
A very fine tax accounting firm, specializing in taxes and all.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we're down here in Philadelphia, 16th and Market. We're 80 strong, and our customer base is closely held businesses and their owners. So yeah, it's been a good run for us.
You're the tax warriors, I understand.
That's our tagline. We're tax warriors. So we're a CPA consulting firm that leads with taxes. So we try to impact our clients' bottom line with.
The tax situation these days is big business. It's impacting everybody. A lot of new stuff going on.
Yeah, it's even hitting the financial press, actually, Paul. So you're seeing more and more uncertainty out there. It's become clear with the new law, but I think the average person out there isn't sure how clear it is and are maybe missing something.
Yeah, let's chat a little bit, not about regulation D, F, and G and that type of thing and how it's going to impact some big companies, taxes, whatever, but the climate, generally the climate and all. Your climate, your clients' comments,
so
the financial markets climate.
Yeah, so I think that this whole tax law is, if you look at the 10-year horizon on it, it's a deficit eating bill. It's creating a deficit for the company, for the country. So obviously there's less taxes going in and the spending's the same in the country. So less taxes means that there's opportunities out there. So,
and one of the interesting comments, you just referenced it and I've heard elsewhere a little bit, is that it does have a time frame.
Yes.
So like after 10 years or 3 years, some parts of it, that part goes away.
So yeah, I guess we're always saying there's always death in taxes, but taxes has its own internal expiration date. So most of the tax law, the broad brushes of this new tax act, which passed a year ago, the corporate level provisions, which are quite generous, are permanent. So that was made that way. The corporate tax rate went from 35% to 21%. Substantial. That was made that way because companies have to make decisions based upon the long term.
Right, sure.
But everything else, like pass-through companies, like many of our clients, S corporations and LLCs and
pass-throughs are generally privately held companies.
That's right.
That I might own 5 employees or might have 3,000 employees. But
right, and they could be in any different kinds of every different kinds of industry, manufacturing, real estate, professional practices, doctor practices. Their provisions are expiring in 2025. So,
and there's some definitions too of what kind of a business is a kind of a business. That is, might look like a law business, but it might not be a law business depending upon certain things. And other vocations are like that too.
Right. So one of the provisions in the law to again catch up to the C Corp level, that rate of reduction in tax, to have the everyday business, the non-C corporation clients catch up, was this new qualified business deduction, which you're referring to, Paul. It says you can have a deduction of 20% on your taxes without the outlay of cash, just a plain deduction on your taxes for your taxable income. So that obviously brings the rate down by 20%. But it only applies to, there's restrictive companies that doesn't apply to. They're called specified companies. But lawyers and accountants and doctors aren't in that group. You mentioned that, but manufacturers.
I mean, you could have a law firm with 300 lawyers, and
they would not
600 other employees.
That's right, and they would not qualify for deduction because they're a specified service. So it's more to, again, the reason for that was to spur economic activity, hire people. The presumption is that an accounting firm and a law firm isn't going to do that just because of the Tax Act, right? Just because of the better. So it's more for people that hire, to produce products and
manufacturers,
retailers. I mean, there's many different companies that this applies to, and it also applies to real estate. So that's a great advantage that we see our clients benefiting from currently. They're actually getting a deduction, which means on a lower tax rate. Actually, the rates did come down for individuals. So we're seeing more and more free cash flow available to our clients. And hopefully
they're seeing that, they hear it from you, they're understanding it, and they're trying to do something about it.
Right. So we've tried to be ahead of this. This is a year out there for a year. So we're throughout the year there's been more clarity from the IRS on what specific things mean, like what is a specified service, what is not a specified service. But I mean, we've been out there, so we're coming up with some ideas for our clients, and So we're hoping to, improve their cash flow. And it is a long horizon. We have until 2025 to do this. So it's not like we have to rush to do something but we have to be on top of a client, on top of any business each year, know the business, know where they want to go, know what their exits are, what they want to do with their company, and try to marry the tax law and their finances to that goal.
So you had mentioned early on about that all these tax cuts creates a much larger federal deficit.
Yes.
More debt,
Yeah.
What's the climate out there in terms of what does that mean? I mean, a few years ago, some people said, "My God, if our debt keeps on going up, or the dollar's going to be worth nothing, and we're going to go bankrupt, and all that type of stuff."
I can't answer that question directly, but I can tell you from my conversations with investment professionals, maybe that's probably, or bankers even sometimes even say this, that the reason for the great stock market, I mean, it's been like a 15% annual return in the last 10 years, right? But we're coming off of a total recession in the stock market.
40%
so
decline.
When you're down that low, it's not easy, but it's easier to get 14% annual returns. But it seems as though this, a lot of people have said that we didn't need this tax cut because there was enough growth in the market, enough
rebound.
momentum.
Yeah, sure.
Momentum, I guess, is a good word in the market, that we didn't need this, but it was spent and it's done. I mean, the president and the Congress got it through. So to that point, it's there. Now, I guess how that must have impacted the market somehow, right? Maybe it was already baked in, or maybe we'd be down worse, be more volatility even without this tax cut. So I guess you can always say what would have happened if it didn't have the tax cut? More volatility, more. And I think the other player to the stock market is actually interest rates and Fed. Fed policy has been keeping rates low, which our clients have been benefiting. I know you would know more about that than anybody, being a banker, but our clients have benefited from these low rates. So,
well, as I've mentioned on previous shows, actually, low interest rates hurt the banking industry.
Right.
Because the banks have a certain amount of capital, which is kind of like free money. They don't pay interest on it. So they make a loan at 3%, they get 3% return. If interest rates are 5% and they get a 5% return on that loan, that's another 2 percentage points for doing nothing, just being there. So
you think they'll benefit if the rates do go up then?
To a certain amount, yes, but moderation. Yeah. If rates go up to 12, 13, 18%, who can afford a loan? Yeah. And what does that mean is happening in the economy?
Yeah.
So it's
it's a slippery slope.
Slippery slope, yeah. So there's room for increased rates. I mean, the rates when I first got my mortgage a few years ago, 7.25%, good deal. 7.25% now would be like highway robbery. Yeah. It's like double.
People are worried about it going past 4.
Yeah.
It's a different world today.
Yeah.
But so I think that in that case there, but also with this lower interest rate environment are doing for our business clients are improving valuations because private equity is looking at our clients and they're interested in buying our clients now. So we see more and more acquisitions.
Yeah. We have a question from one of our viewers about taxes. Thomas Long of Philadelphia asks, what are some of the changes in state taxes this year?
Well, thank you, Thomas, for that question. I think we've been talking to this day, Paul, to this time about federal taxes, but at the state level, one question is how are they going to incorporate all these changes at the federal level? And states are unclear on some of that, whether they're going to allow that deduction we're talking about at the state level or not. Some states are more clear than others, but there's still some uncertainty there whether the states will allow the deduction. But I think really, let's take the big event of 2018 for state taxes is not really income taxes, it's sales taxes. It's this whole thing that we've been thinking about over the years where if I buy on Amazon, let's say, I don't pay sales tax, but if I buy at the store in the corner, I do pay sales tax.
And the accounting that a company would have to do that, they sell people different states around the country or whatever,
But there's been a Supreme Court case decided called Wayfair, which is indeed
internet company.
A company just like we're discussing. And now it used to be that you don't pay sales tax unless the company, the seller, has a presence in your physical presence in your state. Now, if you have a customer in the state, you're allowed. The state is allowed to charge sales tax.
Sure.
So it's creating a lot more sales tax payments, but also at a minimum reporting. A lot more reporting has to be done to the state. So, if I was an online seller here in Pennsylvania and selling to Wyoming, maybe I didn't have to do Wyoming sales tax.
And that is a Supreme Court case.
Yeah.
So it's not subject to appeal.
That's right. You would think so. You think that's the end of the road, right? Yeah. So that's a big thing. That's something people are starting, and the states are coming out with guidance here.
Sure.
They're coming up with thresholds.
Yeah, so a lot of answers still coming out in terms of what's really going to happen.
Yeah, but it's out there and it has to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you, Michael.
Thank
So for other viewers who have questions they would like to ask to be discussed on Money Matters TV, here's how you can do that.
You can have your questions answered on Money Matters. Please go to our website, money-matterstv.com. On our homepage, click on the banner on the right that says Send Us Your Questions. While you're on our website, you can find information about our hosts and guests, as well as show notes and links about this show and past shows. Money Matters is also available as a podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, so you can listen to Money Matters while you're on the go. That website address, again, is money, M-O-N-E-Y, -matters, M-A-T-T-E-R-S, TV.com.
Welcome back to the show. Now I'd like to introduce our featured guest for this show, Brian Tierney, co-founder of Streamline Payroll.
Yes, thank
Brian,
you very much for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Appreciate the invitation from Michael and you, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you
welcome,
for having
Brian.
me.
Sounds like an interesting company. I like the Streamline. That sounds positive. I always like to see things in my life streamlined.
Yeah.
I like payroll too, especially if I'm getting it on the receiving end.
Yeah, most people are appreciative of getting their checks when they're due, and we've been very good at doing that.
So tell us a little bit about you. How did you get involved in the business? You're a co-founder. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm one of the co-founders. I've always been in business on my own since 2 years after I graduated from college. I started a restaurant in 1984, sold that in 2000, and been doing payroll ever since. Started this company 14 years ago.
Wow.
We'll have our 14th anniversary July 1st in 2019.
Well, since you mentioned 14 years ago, 10 years ago we had a Great Recession.
Yeah.
How did you manage to do that?
You know, a lot of payroll companies had some trouble through that because, as you mentioned earlier in this conversation about interest rates, through the history of payroll companies, they made a lot of their money through interest rates. And that went away in 2008. So if you were going to be successful, you had to do it on the revenue you generated from processing the payrolls. And we were lucky enough to do that and be successful.
So when you reference interest rates, you mean parking, you take the payroll withholding taxes and you do something with that money?
Correct. We put it in an escrow account and we pay it when that is
And you
due.
get interest on that escrow account?
We do. We absolutely do.
Cool,
Imagine that.
cool.
We're almost like bankers.
You know, interesting. I've heard. I had a customer a few years ago when I was with a certain bank, and they had a real problem. They had a tax lien on them because they used the payroll company, some guy down the road or something like that, that took the money from their payroll and didn't pay it.
And ran away with
authorities.
it. And went
disappeared.
Went to Atlantic City or Vegas, who knows?
The IRS says, gee, you owe us $30,000. They go, I paid my taxes.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
And that's certainly one of the issues when you're dealing with somebody entrusted with your money, just like banks. And we've been able over the years to insure our clients through a SOC 1 audit, through general liability and professional liability insurance. We're one of the only payroll companies that, and regional payroll companies that provide that.
What is a SOC 1 audit? You said
it's more intricate than a regular audit. We actually have an accounting firm with a lawyer or lawyer law firm combined come in and look at everything we do, and they write a specific report called a SOC 1 audit that we have. But over the years, selling and competing against the big guys, I can pull you out articles about something that's happened in the large companies that, you know, things like that have happened as well.
Wow, yeah.
So these people that commit these crimes can be with a large national company or can be with a small company. I don't think criminality has any limitations to who they're with.
Banks have people going to jail too.
They have issues.
That's your that's your
What type of clients do you serve? You have a typical client base? Or?
We do. We're moving into a larger client count or employee count because of a new platform that we purchased about a year ago called Kronos. It's very sophisticated in that it can do onboarding, payroll, time and attendance, HR, and exit strategies, and everything combined on one platform. But we've been using a platform called PayChoice since our inception in 2005. and we're migrating a lot of those clients over to Kronos. But right now, our average client is anywhere between 25 and 30 employees. We do one-person payrolls for paying once a month, and we have municipalities that have 1,000, 1,500 employees, manufacturers that have 2,000, 2,500 employees. And as we move forward with Kronos, we're going to be moving into that higher employee count realm.
Right.
How do you acquire new clients? Because it seems very competitive. I mean, there are usually acknowledged there's lots of payroll companies out there, big and small, and that type of thing. It seems like a big deal for a company to change payroll companies. How do you meet them? How do you market to them? How do you land them?
We've created a network marketing strategy at our company, and I am the sales team, and I hire the sales team. And when we started, it was only me out there, and what we did was, I was involved with chambers. I was involved in networking organizations, the LaTips and BNIs of our world. And we've also expanded into doing networking events at our restaurants. We've got a big niche because I know restaurant, the business very well. We probably have about 250 restaurants we do the payroll for. So we've had these events, and every salesperson that I hired is required to be in a chamber, required to be in a networking group, and required to sponsor and host each month a networking event at one of the restaurants. That's been a great way for us to build business. It also builds loyalty because these clients have to see you. And I've had stories, hey, ADP was in here yesterday, but I told them that I can't move because I got to see Brian next week at the event that you're sponsoring.
Sure. Yeah.
And these
Your
things,
sticky relationship.
and these things also help use our company as a network hub for our clients. We've been asked, hey, can you find me a doctor? Can you find me a lawyer, electrician, a plumber?
Trusted advisor.
A trusted advisor. We actually have one girl dedicated to taking these calls in, and then I decide, what salesperson or what financial person's going to, send these off to. We've got to have these networking hubs to be able to service our clients. And the good thing about that is we've vetted through these people. We know that they're legitimate. We know that they're good business people, or they really wouldn't be with us.
Do you see, is technology the way forward for your company? Is that what it is? You mentioned this Kronos a couple of times.
Yeah.
That is the differentiator for your company?
It's moving into that, and it's moved into that for the last few years. Years ago, you could sell on price and service and be pretty successful. But if you don't have the technology piece today, you're not going to get off first base. And so, again, we've invested heavily in that. Also, you've seen a lot of investment banking companies, some of the competition over the last 8 to 10 years that have come in to our market, that's technology based. So, the guys that were there for years, we had to move in. You got to keep up with the Joneses. The field's over here now, guys. You're either going to go with it or you're going to become irrelevant. And we've decided to do that, and it's been one of the best things that I think that we could have done because now we're in front of clients with 1,000 employees, 50 different EIN numbers, and we're able to handle that.
Wow.
And we're able to go in and speak with the HR people and show them the time-saving technology that we're able to offer them.
Great.
Another aspect of technology these days is cybersecurity.
Yeah.
I mean, you got social security numbers, you got names, addresses, you've got dollar amounts. How do you deal with that? How can you say that your information is secure with us?
Well, we have a number of different levels of security. We've got the cloud-based, we've got the cybersecurity. We also we download our data to both of our software companies every night in a secured file, and we also do that.
So if someone tried to do ransomware on you, you'd say that's almost not a problem because it's all stuff's over
Nothing
there
to
already.
ransom.
Well, we actually save it in 3 different spots.
Yeah.
We save it on the cloud, we save it with our software providers, and we also save it internally in the office ourselves. So there's, and we pay a lot of money for the new technology security systems, and we're constantly upgrading on that as they evolve, we have to evolve.
Yeah. What would you say the biggest differentiator with your company is when you compare it to other payroll companies, or your biggest asset?
Well, our biggest asset, number one, and I believe in any company, is the people that work for you and service the clients. And I'm extremely lucky to have a great team that we've developed over the years. one of the things that when I'm talking to a potential client is, you're going to be given a certain service rep and they're going to be with you for years. The large companies can't promise that because they got the revolving door of Mary, John handled it last month, and so they're really setting themselves up for more mistakes. Our people know the clients better, they stay with us longer, so they're certainly one of our biggest assets, and I've learned that over the years. I'm only as good as the people that represent me. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, Michael and Paul, is the investment into the technology. And we could have taken huge bonuses over the last couple of years, and taken my wife to an exotic vacation, which she gets anyway. But we've invested a lot of money into the company so we can continue to evolve. So those two things in my mind are our biggest assets, is the people that work for us and the product we're able to provide for our clients.
Yeah.
Here's a question you don't have to answer if you don't want. Does your company get solicited by other companies that we'd like to acquire you?
Almost on a weekly or monthly basis.
Wow.
And I won't mention the name, but I've been told by a lot of the national reps they really want us out of their hair, which is a compliment to me that they know who we are. And I've had reps from other companies say, as soon as I hear that they're with Streamline Payroll, I don't even go and meet with them because I've not been able to get a client away from you. So that to me is a really good statement about who and what we are. And we on a yearly basis win awards for lowest drop rate, which means we retain about 97% of our clients on a yearly basis. That's a phenomenal number out there, and we win that every year when we go to payroll conferences.
Is there a temperature with your clients? Do they feel optimism now? Do they feel as though the economy's moving for them, doing well? Yeah,
I think they do. We've seen an uptick in the number of hires by certain industries.
It's a good indicator, yeah.
One of the fastest growing industries is home care industries as the baby boomers get older, and their sons or daughters are in different states, and that industry has expanded into not just having somebody come in and take care of them with medical needs, but just some social needs, just to help them do the grocery shop and help them tidy up their home a little bit. And so that industry's grown phenomenal. We've got a number of those too. We probably do about 40 or 50 home care companies, and they've showed the fastest increase in number of employees. But overall, over the last year and a half, 2 years, we've seen that surge. We've also seen new startups with small industries, 1, 2, 3, 5 employee companies that maybe didn't want to take that plunge 4 or 5 years ago that are willing to do that now.
Geographically, what's your sweet spot?
We're located right outside of Philadelphia in Bucks County. Probably 80% of our client base is in within that 100-mile radius. But we are processing payrolls in 38 states each month.
Wow.
We have been lucky enough to do some class action lawsuits with some Philadelphia local law firms that we've processed in all 50 states to be able to get those lawsuits settled for the law firm. So we are able to do payroll in all 50 states. So if you have a referral in Hawaii, I'll be glad to go there. We don't do one in there yet, but I say that as a joke a lot when we're talking about this issue. We're processing in 38 states.
So how about, I'm trying to think of a way to ask it about the international aspect. A lot of companies now are working internationally. So if somebody had a unit in France or something, how was that handled?
Well, on the flip end of that, we've gotten some companies that have come in from Europe and Canada into our neck of the woods, and we're able to do them. We've made some relationships with accounting firms like Michael's, and when they get these companies that come in and hire 1 or 2 people, we're able to do them. We're currently working on being able to do Canada with Kronos, but we're really based and we've focus our attention on our national footprint, and we're expanding quite a lot into New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, the surrounding. But I mean, we've got clients in Iowa, and with today's technology, I don't even have to really see them. I have to make sure who and what they are, and make sure that they're a viable company. because again, there's fraud out there, and somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, I want to do payroll tomorrow for 20 people, all direct deposit." It's more than likely a scam.
Thanks for finding me. Right.
Yeah. So you have to do your due diligence and find out who these people are, even though they're not right in your backyard.
Good for you. Good for you.
Great.
How do you do that? I mean, did Google was part of it? Just
I tell them Google everything,
Sure.
and then once we get all the information we possibly can, we make a physical phone call to them.
Yep.
And I've been around a little bit, so I can usually get the idea of if there's
sniff test.
if they're a legitimate company.
There's values of chambers of commerce and stuff like that too, right? Yeah.
And usually, if one or two questions will set the way that the conversation's going to go.
Look at their emails, click on the email, see if it's really from XYZ company, it's from Joe Schmo in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, and they try to sometimes make it like, oh, we're in Allentown, we don't really want to meet you. Well, we'll drive up there to meet you.
That's pretty good.
Oh, well, I don't want to. Okay, then maybe there's a problem here.
So if one of our viewers or several of our viewers wanted to contact Streamline Payroll and Brian Tierney, how would they do that?
You can go on our website, www.streamlinepayroll.net, or you could call our office at 267-557-3600, and or you could Google me, Brian Tierney, and we'd love to hear from you, and we'll offer you some great deals.
Sure. And you're in Bucks County, you said?
We're in Bucks County, but I'm a Philadelphia native, so that's how I've known Michael for all these years.
We've known each other for a long time.
That's excellent. So, any hints for young people might be interested in getting involved in the payroll industry? Is it one to get involved in, or should they stay away?
I think it's a very fast-growing business. I've been in a number of different businesses, and for me, it's a great industry. You meet different people all the time. You can be meeting with a lawyer one day. You can be meeting with a mechanic the next. It's a very diversified industry. It's got great projections for the future. And if you Google sales and payroll, it comes up in one of the top 10 positions in America. So I would say it's a great opportunity. And I would also encourage people to be entrepreneurs. And if you're looking for a payroll company, call us.
That's terrific. Brian, thank you very much. Very informative. I appreciate your enthusiasm, and congratulations on a very successful business. 14 years. Getting through the Great Recession, any small business is able to do that, boy,
absolutely.
They deserve an awful lot of credit. Great
Thank
persistence and good management, and must be doing a good job.
We appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
That's a wrap for our show. So to our audience, just remember that on this show, your money matters.